Honestly, I felt like I could fight Godzilla that night and I was not losing. That preparation was the most I've ever done.
People that don't fucking strap in, because let's get into that.
The new champion.
Harry Webb unloading the assault, the ground and pound.
I just proved that I am on that next level. Yeah, let's fucking go. Number 1 pound for pound, baby.
Well, I don't believe when people say they're not nervous, but I think it's more just dealing with the nerves and just accepting the nerves. When you get out there, you just forget about everything and you'll just fight.
Harry, the human heart.
People sometimes can't understand how I would work all day, but I think I've just been doing it for so long that it's just normal for me. Like, I was working at McDonald's for 5 years just so I could work it with my training schedule because it was the only thing that really was just easy for me to do and still train as much as I wanted to. But then after that, I sort of ran into a lot of trouble, and then that put me in a spot where it was... So I don't know if you guys know this, but my gym got burnt down.
Oh, I did. I forgot to. Yeah.
So this is going to be a cool story. Like, when...
If you're into property and development, join the Little Fish Network for free and unlock your $20,000 townhouse masterclass today. Scan the QR code on the screen or click the link in the description. It takes 2 seconds and it's free. Welcome back to Australia's #1 podcast. We are the Little Fish. We speak to the big fish about town each and every week. Remember, guys, we are donating $1 for every subscribe and follow for our amazing charity EB, Epidermolysis bullosa. And if you want to make a bigger splash, littlefishpod.com.au. Big pink button, Benny, and we're motoring towards a cure in 2030. So super pumped with that and appreciate everyone's support thus far.
Let's go. Nailed it.
Let's go. Harry, mate, thanks for coming on.
Dude, the human highlight reel, man. Let's go. Let's go.
Is that the
human highlight reel, man. Let's do it.
That's the one. Thanks for having me on, boys. It's a pleasure to be here.
all the way from sunny Ballarat, mate? I would have, I'm not sure, what temperature did the car say, mate, when you...
Oh, mate, it was probably somewhere about -3.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, it's been pretty cold the last couple of days. Really feeling the winter now, so...
It gets cold at Ballarat, man. So tell us, Harry, like, you know, Benny's super pumped, like he's a UFC nut. He's been telling me, spruiking about it for, you know, the last couple of weeks that Harry's coming on. What's the...
MMA nut and a UFC nut.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Just a fighting nut. Harry, where did it all begin for you, man? You're, you know, young 24-year-old taking on the world. You know, talk to us about where this love, you know, for this sport come about. And what got you into this stuff?
Yeah, so I'll give you the full rundown. So when I was young, about 5 years old, parents put me in karate. I think just more I just wanted to be a ninja. And, you know, I stuck at that for 10 or so years. And from early days, like I was training 3 hours a night, like 4 days a week sort of thing. And towards when I got to around 12, you know, I was competing like interstate. I didn't go international, but national tournaments and that sort of thing. Got my black belt. And then when I went to high school, sort of started doing the more social thing, play footy with my mates. Like I was always big into footy as well. And I was juggling both for a bit. And sort of got to the stage when I was 15 and it was sort of time to make a decision between doing MMA. I was still at karate at this stage. But then I drifted from karate, had a little break from martial arts completely. And then I just remember feeling like at footy, you know, it wasn't, even though I probably had goals of being an AFL player at one stage, but it wasn't really, you know, realistic. And I just remember one day at footy training, pre-season, I was just stuffing up every single kick, you know, just left, right and centre. And I was like, fuck this, you know, I just want to do something that I'm good at. And I thought, you know, what was I good at? I was good at karate as a kid, so maybe I'd look at doing some martial arts. And at the time, I had one of my friends who was doing a bit of Muay Thai just locally. And so I went and did a couple of sessions with him. Didn't start taking it seriously at all. And then it was around the sort of like Conor McGregor era, about 2016, when he sort of started breaking onto the scene. And to be honest, like I never really watched fighting or anything as a kid. Growing up, never really had any interest in it. And then besides maybe playing the UFC games with my dad. But then one of my friends at school, you know, he was like showing me Conor McGregor and he's like, this guy, like he's the next big thing. Like, got to go look him up, watch his highlights and that. So went home from school, looked up Conor McGregor highlights, and I was like, fuck yeah, that's sick. Like, I want to learn how to fight like him. And probably the next week or so, I messaged my mate and I was like, let's go start training MMA. So signed up at the local gym in Ballarat, and I was sort of one of those guys who was like, day dot, I was like, I want to be a fighter.
Was that Infinite, day one? So you actually walked into Infinite MMA?
Yeah, from the start. Yeah. So I was always like, had the intention of being a fighter. I wouldn't say that to the coaches. Like, I'd sort of just keep showing up until I got my shot. But like I said earlier, I was still playing footy though for the first 6 months or so when I was training. And I was probably training like once a fortnight or so, even though I was saying I wanted to be a fighter and that. But it wasn't until I turned 18 because I'm from Ballarat, so Ballat's like half an hour from Ballarat. So it was pretty hard. Like, I'd go after school, straight from school, train for a couple of hours, then mum would have to come pick me up. So I didn't want to get mum to be driving me, 5 days, 6 days a week. So it wasn't until I got my license where I was like, all right, I'm going to start dedicating myself to this full time. And within a couple of months, I think I had my first kickboxing fight. And after that winning feeling, it's like, I knew I wanted to do this for the long haul.
Let's go. So, Harry, like early on, because I'm, Benny's the same. You run kids around to sports and trying to, they're all just doing everything, and it's a burden as well as a, parents working. It's hard to get your kids to all these things. You're doing karate for 3 hours, 4 days a week from a young age. Were your parents keen for you to get into that? Did they obviously see the value of a sport like that?
Yeah, I think it was sort of like, mum paid the bills, so she's like, all right, you're going to karate, I'd get home from school sometimes, get on the PlayStation, and mum's like, nah, you're going to training. Like, she didn't obviously force us to do it or anything like that, but I think just like, she knew it was obviously good for us, and we had some sort of ability. I did it with my sister as well. So yeah, she wanted us to stick it out and sort of get as far as we could with it. And so I think it was kind of good though. Like, it taught us a lot of valuable lessons in working hard from an early age. Like, people sometimes can't understand how I'll do like work all day, go train 3-4 hours a night, and they're like, oh, how do you do that every day, But I think I've just been doing it for so long that it's just normal for me.
Can I ask, when you walked into Infinite that early stage, did you feel different in the room? Like, did you like feel confident? Do you know what I mean? Like, or did you feel like you were a long way off? Because obviously, it's been a pretty meteoric or pretty fast rise for you over the last, because you're only 24 now. We're talking about when you're 18, 19, 20, like it was a lifetime ago. It's a few years ago. Do you know what I mean? So how long did it take for you to go, oh, I reckon I've got something. I'm different in the room?
It was probably more of a realization of like, fuck, I'm nowhere near what I thought I was. Like, doing karate, I feel like it's good. It teaches some good, valuable lessons, and I've taken some things from it, but there's a lot of like bullshit. And
how much transfer? That's a great question. Yeah, how much is transferable from a black belt karate?
We'll see. Like, I was a black belt at 10, so I couldn't actually defend myself in a real situation.
So how does that work? Because jiu-jitsu, you can't even move through the rankings until you're 16. So they have kids rankings, they have separate. So how does that work? How do they give you a black belt?
Yeah, so for traditional martial arts, it's usually just like you show up, you grade. So I think they did 4 gradings a year. Every time you do your grading, you get your belt. Like, obviously towards the end, like the black belt grading is pretty intense. Like, I think it was like a 20-hour grading or something like that. It goes over 2 days. But but it's just not the same. Like, jiu-jitsu, a black belt in jiu-jitsu, like that's like legit, there's not that many of them because it takes a long time to get, and you have to be of over 18 to even start ranking,
that journey.
So for karate and that, you can take a black belt with a grain of salt.
Are you doing jiu-jitsu now?
Yeah.
And what would you say your favorite martial art is now?
I think, probably I'm more of a fan of the striking. So I'd probably say boxing, if anything. Like, if I had to pick one, I probably like boxing, but more like boxing in MMA. So like, I can really appreciate guys that have really good boxing in MMA, like Ilia Topuria or Jack Dalla or Conor McGregor. So
sick.
So Harry, tell us, like, I'm just thinking about a kid that's 10. Like, I've got an 8-year-old, and
he's running about half a dozen of them.
Love her. We've got a bit of a crew down there, but like, love her to death. But and she, you know, puts in and tries at everything she does. But I feel like even though you say black belt, you know, take with a little bit of a grain of salt, I feel like it's still an amazing achievement for a 10-year-old. You know, like
it's commitment, man.
like it, yeah. So
like you said, it's that work ethic. It shows that you said it before. The metrics are turning up, showing up for an extended period of time.
So was that you or was that mum like going, even if you don't feel like it, Harry, I'm dragging you along and you're going to enjoy it, and you got to the end of it and go, oh, glad I went. But you know, why are you getting a black belt at 10? I feel like that's early.
Well, that's true. Like I probably downplay it a little bit for myself, but you know, like you still have to do something for 6 years. You know, like you still have to commit to something for. I think it takes about 6 years when you're a kid to get your black belt. In my system, like all systems are different, but yeah, I don't know. Like I think maybe just probably more mum just like teaching us those lessons, but. Like as you can tell now, it's obviously been very valuable for me to get that from an early age, because now, like I know the value of sticking at something and just keep doing it until you get to sort of the level where you want to be at, and that's what I'm trying to do now with my MMA.
That's epic advice. I wrote down a note last night to myself to remind my daughter, and there was 3 things on it. Probably won't remember all 3, but one of them was like, you just don't let yourself down, but just keep showing up. If you show up long enough, if you do the thing that you love long enough, something good will happen. So I think, I can't remember, it was 3 bits of advice that I was going to put, and it was like, don't let yourself down, keep showing up, and there was something else. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. 3 basic things, and that's spot on, man. Like, if you keep showing up, and when you show up, you turn up, so you don't let yourself down. You know what I mean? You're not just there. Then you improve, and that's when you start to get to the results. Yeah,
I think that's the main thing, especially with fighters. Like you see it a lot. You see guys, they come in, they show some promise, and they might train for a couple months and then they'll just disappear. But it's like the ones that get good are just the ones that stick around the longest. Like I've been, I
fucking love it, man. You know why? Fighting is life, dude, and that's why I love it, right? Because there's so many parallels, and that's just another one, man. You know what I mean? That's exactly it. You got to just keep showing up, right? And if you do, you'll be the one that gets better.
Yeah, that's right. Like when I walked into Infinite, like I was saying before, you know, I was not the top dog in the gym at all. You know, I was a very long way.
But did you have skills? Like, I guess that's what I was trying to say before. Do you feel like you were just you're the hardest worker in the room, or you that's combined with some natural ability that you discovered?
I think maybe I had a natural ability. Like obviously, just like doing martial arts from an early age, I guess it's easier to pick it up. And you know, like I said, I took some things from karate, like obviously the stance and a few things like straight punches and kicks and that sort of thing. But I think it was more just I loved it and I had a passion for it. So, and I was willing to just put the work in.
But you don't sort of bounce as much, do you? Like from just thinking of your fights, you're not like that Wonder Boy sort of wide karate stance.
Yeah, I've sort of really like transitioned it into
MMA sort of style. Yeah.
If you've seen any of my maybe my first amateur fight, I think
I've seen that.
I was more sort of karate in that one, and maybe my kickboxing fights. But
how's that? That dude didn't fucking. I was going to ask you. That dude didn't. He didn't touch gloves. Your first ever amateur fight?
In my pro fight?
Well, was it amateur? Or maybe that was a pro fight. He didn't. Yeah, your first pro fight. He didn't touch gloves. He said no. I was going to ask. So what did you remember? Did you have a conscious thought in that moment? You're fucking going. Your first ever pro fight. There's, you know, I can't even fathom what you know mentally how you're managing that. And you think, oh, I'm going to fight this guy. Hey, should we touch gloves? And he's like, no, fuck no.
No. The reason I did that was because I seen in his other fights he didn't touch gloves.
Oh.
So, and you don't want to get caught off guard. You don't want to go out, touch gloves, and get spinning back kicked or something like that. So, I was just like, I'm just going to see.
So you wanted to, you were happy to, but wanted to know before you got in there. Yeah.
And then after that, I didn't care. I was like, I'm going to bash you anyway.
Yeah, well, you did. You slept him. Yeah. It was magic, dude.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. Some of my mates were like, "Fuck you, you're not touching gloves." Now you got slept. So
yeah, man. Well, he from memory he sort of chased you a bit, and he sort of gassed, and then you had your guard, and then just
Yeah, I wore him down over 3 rounds, and that was a huge win for me because they were very hot on him, and he was a big prospect, and he's actually fighting this weekend. I still think he's going to do really well in the sport, but that sort of burst me onto the scene.
That's the one he didn't. Did he tap? No, is that the first pro fight?
Oh, sorry, I'm talking about my first pro fight. My first amateur fight, yeah. He came out and tried to, I don't know if he touched my gloves. I can't remember. But yeah, he did gas himself, and then I finished him in the second. But
Yeah. You've had some. So there's not a lot of fights, but they've all been good, man.
yeah, I've had 11 total now, including amateur, but a lot of them been pretty short. So yeah.
Harry, so take us back. You touched on early, you're 18, you bought the car. I'm going to do this, not a burden on, mum anymore. We're going to get to the gym as much as we can.
Yeah.
And you're all in, you said, and then you had your first fight and you were hooked. Take us back to, your training. You've walked in this gym in Ballarat. You got some things to work on, and then you worked up to your first fight. Talk us through that. Was that like, oh mate, I'm all in, I can't wait for this? Were you nervous? What sort of journey was that like?
So when I started training, I was there for about a couple months, right? And then this opportunity popped up. I saw it on Facebook. It was Mark Hunt's MMA Academy in Melbourne, and with my mate that I started with, Bailey, his name is, we were like, fuck, should we do it? Should we apply for it? And so what that entailed was leaving school in year 11 and going to do like a diploma at Melbourne Uni.
Yep.
And it was based around MMA. It was pretty cool. It was based around MMA, but it was like a diploma in sports development. So we'd go train in the morning, and then we'd do like our coursework in the afternoon. In terms of the actual MMA training and the development that I got out of it, probably wasn't as much as when I decided to commit full time at Infinite when I turned 18, because this was still beforehand. So that was a year-long course, but I think doing that I matured a lot, and that's when I sort of started getting into like strength and conditioning and all that sort of stuff. I trained at a couple of other gyms, and then just like when I turned 18, I think it was 2 months, but because I had already leveled up a bit going to this other course, I was slotted into the advanced class at Infinite when I came back. And then I was training with some high level guys there, and it didn't take me very long to sort of, because I was showing up every day. It took me about 2 months. And then, when you're asking about my first fight, so I got the message, I got added to a group chat, the fighters group chat, and it was like the poster of this kickboxing event. And my coach, John, he tagged me in and goes, Harry Webb, and I think there was a couple other guys. And like, even though I wanted to do it, when I first saw it, I was like, fuck, all right, this is actually for real. Like, I'm actually gonna have to fight somebody. So, I was very nervous, like when I first found out. And then it was actually a weird story, because that didn't end up eventuating the way like it was planned, right? So I had a match. I think they match you up on the week of. I had a match at the start of the week, and then it fell through. So then like I was like, I had dieted for like 2 days. Didn't do much dieting back then. So I was like, oh fuck, I'm gonna go back to eating Macca's or whatever. And then Friday night, I was with my mate, and I think we were like gaming, and I was had Macca's for dinner. Get a message from my coach. He goes, "Do you want to fight tomorrow? They got an opponent for you." And I was like, fuck. I was like, yeah, right, fuck it. And then he's like, all right, can you meet me at the gym? We'll do a remote weigh-in. Back then, I used to just walk around on weight. And so we did the remote weigh-in, sent it off, went the next day. And I was so nervous. Like, I couldn't even eat in the morning because I hadn't had time to process it. It was like, find out I'm fighting. Next day, wake up, I'm like, fuck, I'm actually fighting today. Like, shitting myself. Went down there, smashed the guy, and it was all good. But
how old, Harry? How old?
I was 19 or 18. Sorry.
Fucking love it, man. I love it. Now, I'm going to tell you, this just got me very fucking excited. Because that's the story I wanted to hear. Because
as I was asking the question, I was thinking of you.
Fuck, dude, you know what? I'm fucking fighting my first fight, man. I'm 46, and I just want to fucking I just want to do it. I just can't see myself growing old and not doing, because I used to punch on when I was younger and stuff, just as a kid. And I just wish
He just wants a referee at this one.
No. What if the sport was around when I was younger or was developed and stuff? I reckon it was my calling. You know what I mean? But it wasn't around. I mean, the internet wasn't even around. But I'm going to Thailand, dude. So I'm fighting in Thailand at the end of January. So I'm leaving at the start of December. I'm just training. So it's just boxing. So it's just Western boxing over there. Just doing a fight over there. So I'm shitting myself, man. Like exactly what you're talking about. Like I'm sitting there going, I don't know how the fuck I'm going to do it. That's why I'm doing it. Because I want to see if I can. I just don't know. Like when you were saying you were nervous, I know I feel like my legs are going to go like jelly and I'm going to struggle to stand the fuck up, man. But we're going to find out.
Well, I think the biggest part of it is like, well, I don't believe when people say they're not nervous, but I think it's more just dealing with the nerves and just accepting the nerves. And then I think for me, the more nervous I am, the better I perform, because you just get in there and you feel...
Is it a physical nervous though? Because for me, I feel like I'm going to be physically fucking taken over.
Well, you do though. Like you'll be warming up out the back, and sometimes you feel like shit. You're like, oh God, I'm gassed out the back, you know?
Yeah.
But when you get out there, honestly, you just forget about everything and you'll just fight.
Yeah, and the unknown. So you're not scared of the unknown. You don't play it over in your head a million times. Like I'm still several months out. I'm literally shitting myself, and I just say it and do it. And this is a message to anyone out at home. You just got to go. You know what I mean? Like the magic happens outside your comfort zone. So the less comfortable you feel, the more chance that you're gonna create some magic. So I'm just fucking doing it. But genuinely listening to you explain your first fight then gave me. You can hear I'm shaking.
Yeah, well,
so I need to starve myself so I can be really skinny to fight like a midget or something. You know what I mean?
That's it. Just get a big advantage. But no, like I've heard John Jones say, you just got to think about the worst possible outcome. Like, say if it's just getting knocked. I mean, let's not say the worst because some bad things. Can happen,
but getting knocked out.
Like getting knocked out, and then if you can just accept, well,
that.
Okay, I might get knocked out. And if you can just accept that and be okay with it, then you just go in and the result will be the result. But, you know, you just give it your best effort and that's all you can do.
That's fucking good advice, dude. Yeah, that's good advice.
I heard someone say the other day that nerves come from maybe, you know, questioning yourself on preparation or experience at that.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
You know, and it could be your biggest fight ever or whatever. So it's not your fault that you don't have the experience in all these massive fights. But the more and more you keep stacking these events and practice, and I don't know. In your case, Benny, can you fight as many people as possible before it? I don't know.
Well, yeah, there's going to be a fair bit of sparring.
I heard you wanted to fight someone the other day. You want to fight Jonesy?
Nathan Jones. I'm going to be punching him with Jonesy. I called him out. So I told him. He said he had his surgery, so I said, all right, glove up, we're on. But man, that is a. It's crazy to think at your age, at 24, to be so mature and just to have. Yeah, that's why I keep saying, like, fighting is life, you know what I mean? To really challenge yourself and to the adversity, man, to go out there. There's no one else, you know, you're on your own. There's no turning back. Like, you have to deal with it, you know what I mean? And you got to figure out when you're up against it and adversity and you find out who you are. What do you do? Do you fight? Or do you run? You know, what do you do? Well, that's what I want to find out. Do you know what I mean? In my mind, I'm like, well, fuck, I'm running, man. We'll see.
I think like what Pete touched on, it's just also just doing the preparation. I think that's where I get a lot of confidence for my fights, is just knowing that I've done everything that I could do in the lead up to the fight, that the result will be the result. And as long as you have that confidence, like, you don't want to go into the fight thinking, oh fuck, I should have done an extra sprint session. I should have done extra sparring. Shouldn't have ate that burger. Shouldn't have done this, that. If you know that you've done everything in preparation, I think that's the main thing.
Yeah,
if you go into the fight going, I've outworked this guy, like, I know I've outworked you.
Yeah.
Like, that's got to give you something.
And even knowing that if you've left it, again, accepting that you've left everything, man.
Yeah.
So you go, well, there's nothing more I can do, so it'll be what it'll be. But Brucey says it all the time. Marcus, he's always says that when he prepares for his Ironmans and whatever. Exactly. He just has to do the work methodically. I've banked it. And if I miss one, then on race day I'm going to be going, when it gets hard, I know I missed that one. So yeah, but that's a different mentality, and that's a business mentality as well, right? That's the mentality of showing up and not giving up, and yeah, it's exactly the same.
When you feel like it, when you don't feel like it.
Yeah.
So you had your first fight, and you won, obviously. So from there, was it like, all right, cool, let's start filling out the schedule, boss?
So where do we take the photos? You need professional photos.
Yeah, is that like, was that a bit of a moment, sort of like, hey, I'm pursuing a career in this, and I can start to navigate my way through the ranks and
sort of, yeah. So that was a kickboxing fight, and then I ended up having another one 2 weeks later, and I won that one as well. But I pretty much structured my whole life to revolve around fighting. Like, I was working at McDonald's for 5 years just so I could just so I could work it with my training schedule, because it was the only thing that really was just easy for me to do and still train as much as I wanted to. So I was working at McDonald's, and then I think it was about 6 months. So I still had a bit of time I needed to work on my jiu-jitsu and get that up to a level where I could fight MMA, because that was the ultimate goal, was to fight MMA. The kickboxing was more just to get experience, just fight experience, competition experience, before jumping into the MMA cage. And anyway, so 6 months later, I was at a level where I was ready, and my coach thought that I was ready to have my first MMA fight. This is when I was 19. And I told mum and dad, I was like, all right, I'm going to have my MMA debut. And dad was sort of like, oh, like, why are you doing that? I don't want to see you get punched in the head, sort of thing. But I think at the same time, he knew that, like, I told him I was doing it, and he just accepted it. And, they're really supportive now. But yeah, so then I had my MMA debut, won. It was a great performance, second round TKO. But then after that, I sort of ran into a lot of trouble, because I was 1-0. I looked really good in my first fight, and then I had a really hard time finding fights after that. So I went a whole year. I think I did 4 fight camps and just pull out after pull out. Just couldn't get an opponent. And then
So talk us through that. Is that no one wanting to fight you?
yeah, so it was it's all like there is a lot of unlucky circumstances in fighting. Obviously, people can get injured and that sort of thing, but also at the amateur level, I think some people
protecting their records, man. Like, he doesn't want to say it. So all it is these kids are trying to live their dreams, and if let's just say you got 2 really, really, really high level, you know what I mean, and they fight each other, one's going to end up with the 0 and the other one's going to keep moving forward. So it's high stakes at that level to protect your record somewhat, I would say.
I think not so much at amateur. I think, but people have the mentality of that now, whereas it should be more just take the tough fights, get the experience.
Yeah.
Then when you go pro, that's when your record
So
actually matters.
Yeah, who cares about the amateur? That makes sense.
But there's a lot of people that just want to do it because it looks cool.
Yeah. Okay.
So they don't actually want to take a hard fight. They may not have any ambition of making a career out of it. So being 1-0 as well, it's sort of hard, because I may have been at the level of some other guys that had more experience, but people that had similar caliber, similar experience to me, didn't want to take the fight. But yeah, anyway, I went a whole year, no fights. Finally got one booked for start of 2020, and then COVID. So I went 2 years between my first and my second fight. So then I ended up taking a guy who had 5 amateur fights and like 10 or 12 kickboxing fights in my second fight. And
you were 3 fights in?
I was 1-0.
Oh, you were 1-0, but
I had 2
2 kickboxing. Yeah, so you're 3
1-0.
fights in. Yep.
So we're talking MMA. Is that
Yeah.
one in MMA?
Yeah.
In the cage? Is that always?
Yeah. But he was 11 fights versus 3 fights.
Yeah.
Or 13 fights. So.
Yeah, so it was a big experience gap on paper. And then I ended up winning that one by decision, and that was my only decision win. But that was a big step up for me, because I had actually sparred this guy a year prior for like a IMAF, which is like they have like a state team or an international team. It was a tryouts for the team, and it was at his gym. And went down to Melbourne by myself. My coach was going to come with me, but I just didn't end up telling that I was going down. So I drove 2.5 hours or whatever down to this gym, and I was expecting it just to be like, we won't spar or anything like that. We're just going to go do some drills. And anyway, I rock up, and I was like one of maybe 2 other guys from other gyms, and the rest were just from that gym. And it was their sparring day. And so the coach is like, all right, guys, get your sparring gear on. I was like, all right. And
Let's go.
Oh, let's go.
And then matches me up with this guy. His name's Kim Look. And the coach says, all right, we're just going to go about 60%. And then next minute, like, he's trying to take my head off. And I didn't turn it up. I was just not in the right environment. And I was like, I'm not going to get in a scrap here, risk getting knocked out and then be stuck, 2.5 hours from home. No one ever knows that I'm here. So, I took a bit of a beating, and then the fight gets offered to me the next year. I'm like, fuck, all right, this guy.
That is
So
amazing.
it was Kim Look.
Kim
Looky,
So-
mate.
Old 60%.
And
It's 90.
and Looky thinks he's got you covered too.
So he gave me
Okay, I see what's going on
He gave me a
here.
bit of whooping in the gym, but I knew deep down, I was like, well, he hasn't seen 100% from me, but he's probably going to be confident going in.
It's a
And,
full hustle job, isn't it?
Yeah, fuck yeah.
Yeah, so I had that one up my sleeve, and came out and won a dominant decision. So but that was massive for me. It was a big statement as well because he had obviously had more experience and that got me straight into my first title shot.
So was that fighting for Eternal? Oh no, that was when your first fight.
This was Demolition.
Oh, Demolition. Sorry, you did too. You went back to back, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So can you talk us through that journey of how that happened? Because that's a crazy little run.
Yeah. So this was a good little journey as my amateur. So I had my first fight on Demolition, which was against Kim. I won that one. I was 2-0 at this point. And my training partner, Luke Daly, he on the same night he won the lightweight title. And at that time I made lightweight like really easily. I barely even did a cut for it. So my next fight I went down to featherweight for the featherweight title fight, and I won that one and TKO'd a guy from Adelaide in the second round. So I was 3-0 at this point, and then my training partner Luke Daly, he was going pro. So then they offered me the lightweight title fight. So next fight, this was still during COVID too, so it was pretty hard. It was like during 2021. That Kim Look fight, actually, there was no crowd there because it got cancelled. I mean, we went into lockdown the day of the fight. So, that was actually a crazy story too. So we were at the weigh-ins. No, we were getting ready to go to the weigh-ins. And then Dan Andrews comes on. All right, snap lockdown starting from tomorrow. So I'm like, fuck, what do I do? Like, do I keep dieting or, I mean, do I keep like on weight or what? And then the promoter's posting the page saying, just hold off, guys. We're trying to work something out. We're trying to get it across the line. So we're like in Ballarat. We start driving towards Melbourne, and they're like, nah, it's going to be off. And then so we're driving back, getting on the menus for pizzas, and then they're like, we've got it across the line. Come down, weigh in. It's going to be a spectator-free event. So we were like on the menus about to eat some pizzas, but luckily it was like 5 minutes that we didn't eat the pizzas, and then we driven back to the weigh-ins and waiting for that one spectator-free event. So that was a cool experience as well, just having no crowd there, completely different. But I think it was like a cool experience.
Yeah, what was the sound? Because I remember the apex and stuff. You could hear the punches and stuff real clearly. Was it sort of like that? Did it feel?
I didn't mind it because I had such a long break since my first amateur fight that it was a little bit less pressure. Like there's no one there watching you. It just feels like you're just going into just sparring and get my revenge on old Kim.
So then you went. So you win that, right? You go and then you're champ.
Yeah. So during COVID, like I was saying, in lockdowns, in and out of lockdowns, I did a bit of training with Jack Jenkins over the lockdown because he's from the Marsh and I was from Ballarat. So traveled down, trained in his garage. Then I had my fourth amateur fight, which was for the lightweight title, and I won that one by knockout as well. So champ as an amateur.
Epic, man.
Yeah, it was cool.
That's fucking cool, man.
And then went on to have 2 more scheduled amateur fights. Was 6-0, and then I was like, oh, it's time to go.
So talk to me when you champ. Were there's two? Is there probably 2 main promotions in Australia? Were they knocking at that point saying, you want to come fight for us? Like when did they start knocking? Who made the decision? Were you waiting for them to knock, or were they knocking and you were holding them back, sort of thing?
I think after my 6th amateur fight, Hex sent us a message and said, do you have any plans of going pro next year or early next year or whatever? And I think that's about the time where we're sort of thinking about it. But it was more of a case of just getting the experience first before heading over to pro. But I had my first pro fight scheduled for Demolition because they do amateurs and then have maybe 2 pro fights at the top of the card.
Right.
So I was scheduled to fight a guy, did my whole training camp a week before, get the call. He's injured, broke his orbital, 1 week out, fight's off. So I was devastated, and then but I was still like, well, let's try getting a replacement for this one. And they asked everybody, and the only person that said yes was another amateur. So I had to take another amateur fight because I just wanted to fight. Like I'd already sold all the tickets, I was headlining the card, done the whole training camp, preparation, everything. So I ended up having 1 more amateur fight, and then I wasn't really happy with that performance. So I was pretty much straight back into the gym, and I was like ready to get another one ASAP. I wanted to go pro. And then we got the call from Eternal for my debut, which was only 3 weeks notice. But
You weren't signed with them. They just called you and said, "Hey, you want to come over to Eternal? We've got an opportunity."
yeah, they had a match up for us. Messaged my coach, and he's like, "We got this guy. Do you want to fight him?" I'm like, "Yep, let's go." And that was when I had my pro debut in May last year.
And
He
it's
was
been
the guy that didn't tap.
dude. No, correct. He didn't tap. So on that was you must have been happy with that performance. Yeah, that was because he was a scary looking dude as well, man. I don't know, like he looked pretty scary to me.
Yeah, so he was from City Kickboxing, which is
and they're
Israel.
fucking serious fighters over there.
Massive gym, one of the best in the world.
I didn't know that. Yeah, I didn't know that.
So I think their coach Eugene had
Oliver Schmidt, is that his
Oliver
name?
Schmidt.
Yeah.
Big raps on him, and I sort of think that I was actually brought into that fight to lose, to kickstart his
Really?
pro career.
Yeah, but that would make sense.
Yeah.
Like if you think about it,
because
like,
I was relatively
they don't
unknown.
fuck around, man. Like
No.
Eugene and that they don't really have a team of fighters that aren't winners. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, they're not bringing people all. They don't have journeymen. Does that make?
That's right. So, and I've found out from my management now that he's got a relationship with Eugene, and Eugene said, "Holy Schmidt, he's 100% UFC caliber. Like, watch this kid."
Fuck yes, let's
And
go. He was good, man. He was good. You could tell, man.
Oh, 100%. Like that was a really high level fight.
Fuck yeah,
Especially for 2 debut guys.
100%.
But yeah, they didn't do their research on me. I was relatively unknown at the time. To be fair, like only fighting on Demolition.
So he's
in
the one that
Melbourne.
didn't touch. He didn't touch gloves.
Yeah, so
yeah.
He was
So-
the one who didn't touch
yeah,
gloves.
yeah. And then he didn't tap, which I was because I was like dirty on him for not touching gloves. And then when he didn't tap, I was like, "Oh, fair fucking play."
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
'cause
he was tough.
he was tough, man.
I
Like,
landed
and
some
he didn't.
big shots.
Would you? And it's never going to happen. Would you tap? Like, are you one of those guys? Why wouldn't you tap, man? Or
I think I'd tap.
would you? I don't know if I would. I think I would.
It's hard to say. Like you wouldn't want to, but
Yeah. So you don't actually know the answer yourself.
I don't know. I don't like. I sort of think about like longevity though and activity. So like,
Yep.
if you don't, you might. I think if you go to sleep, you get a medical suspension as well.
You do, yeah, a few
Yeah.
months or whatever. Yeah, what PK you tap teeth pack?
Hey, we'll see you in January, big boy.
Fuck off.
And if it was like if it was an
I'd
arm or
tap.
something, like
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
you don't
100%.
want
Yeah,
long-term
the
injury.
infinite game, yeah.
But the rear naked though, maybe I go to
Maybe go to
sleep.
sleep.
But I reckon
Right
I'd
on your
I'd tap more likely to tap on the chin because you had him on the chin. If that's the same fight,
I did, but then I readjusted.
then you really got him and he went to sleep. Yeah. On the chin, I reckon I'm more likely to tap from being a pussy from the pain than from losing air.
Yeah.
Harry, quickly, like we had Jack Jenkins in here a while ago, amazing. I still see him around Collingwood. Saw him the
Legend.
other day. Jacko, how's the body? Learned, like, for me, learning a bit more about this stuff, learn about what his tools were, what his assets were and what he was known for. How would you describe yourself as a fighter? What do people got to watch out for?
The not blink.
Yeah, I think the big one for me is like I got knockout power. So like I'm putting guys away, but it's not just knockout power. I've got like really technical striking, which is something that obviously having the background in karate helped, but developing with my coach, and I think I've got a pretty all round.
You are around, man. I've seen you turn dudes around on the fence, so you're strong. You got strong grappling. You've rear naked, and I saw you fucking collapse that dude in your last fight, dude. It was one of the craziest knockouts you'll fucking see, man. Do you know what I mean? So, obviously a lot's happened since then, and that's it's crazy when you said before, was that Schmidt fight in May last year?
Yeah, so I had 5 fights in the 12 months. From
Right.
February to March this year. So
Strap in, people at home, fucking strap in, because let's get into that part, man. Because this is the pro journey that takes us to this dude getting folded like a suitcase.
Yeah.
Right? And then what's happening now? So let's do it.
Pretty big 12 months last year. So had the debut in May. Got the win. Pretty much catapulted myself onto the scene because, took out the guy with that they were hyping up.
It was a good fight.
Good fight, great fight, good performance. And then got an offer for Hex, and it was at that stage like I had no preference of which promotion I fought on. It was just pretty much whichever opportunities were presented to us. So got the opportunity to fight on Hex. Another guy, I was against Khan Hulsmek, who was another guy that had a big amateur career. He was 7-1 as an amateur, making his debut. So it was a big fight as well. And Hex just being better in terms of just being easier for us to travel. It's in Melbourne. And so all my friends and family can come down. And that fight, like, I wouldn't say it was animosity, but he said a few things in interviews that didn't really sit too well with me. Just sort of just writing me off as like, he's like just explosive or doesn't really show any threat, anything like that. It was just something like that. But I think that motivated me even more. I was like, oh, definitely gonna smash this guy, and I'm like, gonna give him anything. Like he's not even gonna touch me. So I went out there and I knocked him out in a minute 40.
Fucking oath you did.
I was really happy. That was very satisfying. I have no bad blood toward him or beef towards him or anything, but I was really happy with that win. And then again, that catapulted me even further onto the scene. And then my next fight was in November. In between that time, I went over and did a little bit of training in Thailand. Spent a month over there.
Where'd you train?
At Bang Tower.
Oh fuck yeah, I was there. Chris, yeah, I was up there. Yeah, sick.
Yeah,
There's
it's
some
good.
fucking
Good setup
sober,
there.
man.
Yeah, good training over there.
Heaven.
I went with a couple of my training partners from the gym and one of my mates, and the only negative about it was we all sort of got infections and got sick and that while we're over there, just because just Thailand, and it's like you can try and be as clean as you can, but you can't help what other people are doing over there.
And it's hot and they're
man,
open gyms and there's a lot going on in there.
But yeah, like it was good to get some high level training that with some, because there's guys from all over
Sick
Europe,
facilities
all around the
as well.
world, sick facilities. So that was a cool experience. But then when I come back, got offered my next fight on Hex at Festival Hall in Melbourne. So that was a big one too, against a guy who had 6 pro fights. So a bit of a step up in experience from fighting 2 debutants in my last 2. Took care of him in second round, and that was another good performance. And that performance was what put me in contention for the title. So
that was a sick fight as well, to be fair. Like there was a bit going on there. That was the one where you reversed him on the fence. There was a few Superman punches and fucking a bit of clubbing going on, and then bang.
Yeah, so it was good to sort of get in there and get not a quick finish. Like I got to show a lot more of my game over the 2 rounds that it went, and got to show some of the grappling and that as well, which was good. And then that leads us on to the title fight. So got the Hex pretty much said to us, look, when do you want like what record do you want to get to before putting you up for the title? Because I guess you don't want to get there too early if you're not ready for it, because then that's when you're fighting the best in the country. But after that fight, I was pretty confident. I was like, I'm ready for that next step. And so was my coach. He's got a lot of belief in me. So they said, all right, the lightweight title was vacant at the time. Put the feelers out, see who's available to compete for it. And that's how the Abdallah fight came about. He had the interim featherweight title at the time, and he was having a hard time getting an opponent as well. So they said he wanted to go champ, vacant belt. Do you want the title shot? Yep, 100%. Sign me up. And
So you gave him a chance at champ. Sort of.
So he was going for champ, and that was my first title fight, and that's when I was like, all right, I'm gonna go part time at work, put in a good camp, 10 weeks, and got the result.
I got to ask about that fight. Sick fight. You got tagged right at the start. You sort of and you bounced straight back up. Talk to us again. Mentality there, right? So when we talk about adversity, you've done a 10-week camp. You've just told us your full journey of from karate and all of that, and it all comes down to this title fight in probably the biggest promotion in Australia. You win it and you start to go on, people start to notice, they start talking UFC, and the dream starts to become real. You lose it and you start to figure out where you're going. The fucking bell goes. The dude, he pegs you one and you hit the deck, and then you bounce straight back up, right? But then he's stalking you. What are you thinking, man? Because that's the fighting his life part. Do you know what I mean? That's when people give up or they're not. Do you know what I mean? What were you thinking? Because I'm thinking, fucking hell, you're in trouble here.
Yeah, and honestly, like I felt like I could fight Godzilla that night, and I was not losing. Like that preparation was the most I've ever done. I just felt on point out the back. I was so focused. I knew the stakes for that one. Like so many people come to watch me. It was a massive event, main event, fighting a guy that was 9-1, number one pound for pound in the country. Like, it was just huge moment for me. But when he landed that shot, I actually tripped. So I was...
Yeah, I've watched it back many times, tried to figure out, did he get you or did you trip? Yeah.
So he did land a shot, but as I was moving backwards, he stepped through to southpaw and his right foot's gone on the outside of my left foot. So it just knocked me off balance. But at the time, though, I was up and then I was moving backwards and then I was on the ground and then I was like straight back up. But I was like, fuck, did he drop me then? I wasn't 100%
So you weren't sure either, yeah?
I wasn't sure. I didn't feel rocked or anything. But it's hard to tell in the moment. Like, I was like, he might have. And then I felt like, all right, he's going to come after me now. So I got to be ready. But I think that was his biggest moment in the fight. And honestly, I think it was more of a matter of just gauging the distance, because I've never stood in front of someone that tall. He was 6'3", 2 meter reach. I don't have any training partners to emulate that. So I think the awkwardness at the start was more me just finding my range, and then after that, that's when you see I start to land my leg kicks and start to find my range with the punches. And I think it was only a matter of time before I put him away.
Well, he tried to pull you in for a tie clinch, and that's when you just fucking said, no thanks.
Just button mashed.
That's as good. So yeah, oh man, PK, I was going to say, well, where do we go from here? Because this is where it gets a little bit interesting. I've got a story to tell. This is where I have to tell my fucking story, PK. So I'm getting, like the rest of Australia that's into MMA, getting pretty excited about Harry Webb, right? So then I'm like going, this is madness, right? Thinking, where's he fighting next? Oh, he's in Melbourne. I'm fucking going. So I bought 2 tickets. And Lily, our social media girl, helped me. I just got 2 tickets because I've been pretty busy. So I'm just going to go. I want to go watch his next fight. Put it in the top drawer. Been working crazy like you said. And fight night comes around. And I message the people, and I'm not much on social media. And I go, hey, what time's Harry walking? Because I just wanted to time it for the thing. And they go, Harry's not fighting. And I was like, oh, I thought he was fighting. Was he not on the card? And I just got like a 1-word response saying no. And I was like, fuck, I thought I bought tickets to Harry Webb. You know what I mean? Like literally, so I was confused. I was going, Lil, what's going on? I thought these tickets, but I just didn't have time to figure it out. Still couldn't figure it out. But then I think where we're going to go next is sort of made sense. And I had seen the news about your contract, but I hadn't connected the dots that took you away from there. So long story short, it's basically fucking went to watch your fight and you weren't there. So can you talk us through the madness that pursued that happened after that, man?
Yeah. So after my title fight, I was pretty keen and pretty set on fighting on that card, June 14th. I said that night, I did a couple of interviews and they said, what's next for you? And I said, I'll be getting ready for June 14th.
And that's a title defense, your first title defense.
First title defense. And then that put me in a spot where it was people didn't want to take the fight again. And like I was experienced as an amateur, and we're having a hard time getting a match up. And I think it's usually about 3 months in between fights. And so they had about 12 weeks or more to find us an opponent. And it got to about 4-5 weeks out, and like, just get, a bit touch and go now. Like, we don't have anything locked in. I'm training for 5 fives for a title fight. I want to get something locked in soon. And like I said before, with the preparation, like, we put a lot into prepping for specific opponents, even though I work my own game, but like, my coach is very good at picking up deficiencies of opponents.
Yeah, like Jackie Jenkins, you guys are, and the Volk, man, and even like it's the Eugene Behrman style, right? These guys aren't just fighting, man. They're what is it? Checkers, not chess.
Yeah, that's it. So we like to prepare specific.
Chess, not checkers.
Yeah.
That's the harder one. I'm a checkers guy.
You can tell me and Harry, no idea.
So yeah, and then I got so I started working with my management now, Chosen Advisory, and they've got a relationship with Eternal, and we're pretty much like, can we put the feelers out for maybe contender series? Like, I'm 4-0 now. We feel ready to go. They're like, yeah, we can get their temperature on it, but there's no guarantees. Like, they might just say, get a couple more fights. And so they went and spoke to Sean Shelby, and he said, look, we want to see, like, we're very impressed. We watched his last fight because they were looking at Abdallah. Watch his last fight. We're impressed with him. Just want to see him have a couple more pro fights first. like, yep, cool. So main thing for me now, activity. That's all I need.
You just need to fight.
Doesn't matter who I'm fighting, just stay active. So they said, well, why don't you look at Eternal, because Eternal have got exclusive contracts. So there's a lot of lightweights on Eternal, and I'm having a hard time getting a fight over here. So maybe look elsewhere. And that's when so Eternal were pretty keen on me. They offered me a great contract that my manager Daniel, he's sorted out, and I was sitting on that contract for a couple of weeks because it was a tough decision for me to make, because I had committed pretty much that I was fighting on June 14th. Told all my friends,
champion,
all my family, yeah, I'm the champion. I'm defending my belt. I'd sold like 5 tables and bunch of tickets, and
I fucking had tickets, dude.
like, you had tickets. I didn't want to let all these people down, and I felt bad as well because I told Hex that, you know, that was the plan, and then but I had to make a decision because I left it right up to 3 weeks out from this event, and I said, you know, like, I got to do what's best for my career. So I made the phone call to Jacob, the promoter, and I said, look, this is what I've been offered. Thanks for all the opportunities up to this point. I've got to do what's best for my career. I hope that you can understand. I've given you guys, you know, a lot of opportunity to find me a match, and yeah, it was a tough phone call to make. And he was obviously disappointed, and but then I decided that's what I was doing. Signed the dotted line, and then Eternal wanted to announce the contract on their show on Friday night. So got announced, and yeah, then that's just how it's eventuated. And now I've got a great deal on Eternal, and I'll be fighting for the vacant lightweight title in August.
And they've got a stable of fighters that they can put you up against.
Yeah.
So you should be. Yeah, that's amazing. You know what Pete used to say to me all the time, that you can judge someone's success by the number of awkward conversations they're prepared to have. Because I'm not one. I don't really like having awkward conversations. No. But I've like Pete doesn't say heaps of quotes, but the ones he says are normally pretty fucking bang on. So that's it, man. Like to make that phone call. And shout out to Jacob, and I don't know, obviously don't know Jacob, and I didn't actually make it to the event, and I got caught up in it and had tickets, but I'm sure those guys, they just want your success as well, man. Do you know what I mean? Because all boats rise together. The more kids like you that fight through Hex and through Eternal and through the local scene that push their way up into the UFC, all boats rise. That's good for Jacob as well. You know what I mean? He wins at the end of the day. So yeah, and you've got to do what's right for you, man. So August, you're fighting for another title. Where's all this gold going, man? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. I'm running out of spots for it on the bookshelf.
So in August, whereabouts?
Perth. So Perth, August 17th, day before UFC 305. So that was one of the main.
So in next, I think next week, you've been back training your ass off, man. You're fighting in Perth.
Fighting in Perth, so day before UFC, that was probably the biggest thing that got me across the line. Like, I could not turn down fighting for a title in front of the UFC brass that's going to be there.
So that's how they've stacked it.
Yeah. So usually when the UFC comes to Australia, Eternal try and schedule an event the day before. So it's such a massive opportunity for fighters to get on there because there's a lot of eyeballs on those events.
Of course.
And Stephen Erceg.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Last year he was on the Eternal the night before, got signed on the night. So
he just fought for the title, dude.
And he just fought for the title.
That's crazy.
He's had a crazy run. But
he's a sick fighter as well, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Aussie dude, man. Yeah. Aussie MMA is on fire, yeah. And I think, and it's credit to the dudes like Jacob and that have set up these promotions and given opportunities to all you guys and created a pathway. I guess that wasn't there. That's there now. It's wild.
Yeah. So this is amazing. So August,
what date? August 17th.
So I don't know if you guys know this, but my gym got burnt down.
Oh, I did. I forgot to. Yeah. So recently, go.
So this is going to be a cool story. Like, when there's about 10 of us, I think, training at the moment, just fighters only. We're all going to have fights booked in August, and we're literally training like in a empty shop. Got a few mats set up. It's cold as fuck in there. It's going to be like old school boxing style gym. We're just going to focus on our fight camp, and hopefully we all get these wins. And it's going to be crazy.
That reminds me of a story. You probably be aware of it in COVID when Eugene and that all locked themselves in.
Yeah.
Do you remember that? And they all, I don't know if Volk was part of that. But have you spent much time with these guys up the top? You said Jack, you've been able to, been to his garage and stuff. But what about the Volks and Stephen Ursix and stuff that have blazed that part? Like, did you get a chance to speak to these guys at all, or?
Nah, not really. Nah, I haven't. Probably maybe in Thailand got to meet a couple of them. But more just because we're so secluded out in Ballarat. There's not much in the way of
There's not many
vibes out
pulling
there.
up.
Yeah. So
So Harry, obviously an individual sport by nature, but sounds like building up for fights like this, you've got a crew there, other fighters, everyone's working towards a common goal. I feel like, how important do you think that is, being on in an individual sport by nature, but you pull together a team to sort of push each other and drive each other along?
Yeah, I think that's super important. Obviously, like I've got my main training partner who's Luke Daly, because he's another pro lightweight. So it's really good that me and him can get a lot of work in together. And then we've got a crew of other guys that are all amateur at the moment. One of them, Wendouree, she's about to go pro as well. But we've just sort of been building as a team, like from the ground up. So it's been pretty much me and Luke sort of leading the charge through the amateurs, now as pros. And then my coach John's just built up all these other guys. But without them, it'd be very hard to do to get anywhere, because like you need bodies, you need people on the mats training. And it's good, like if we all get fights booked at the same time, the energy is going to be up. It's going to be good. Everyone's going to be consistently in the gym. It's going to be good vibes in there for sure.
And then everyone's growing together and pushing, and suddenly they're getting a bit better, and you're going, oh yeah, hold on, okay, let's roll. So everyone's just trying to better their best.
Yeah, I think like they're saying, like iron sharpens iron. So if you can get a bunch of good guys around you, that's all you need.
Yeah, love it.
Oh,
This is good. Benny, any more questions, mate? You usually got a few.
Yeah, no. I've got a million. Mine's mostly around mentality, man. You know what I mean? Like, again, just stepping into that, like, talk me through, like, take me back when I'm in Thailand, when you're stepping through and you're dealing with the nerves. When you said to me, you need to accept the nerves, right? So my question was, okay, I accept them. What does that mean? Does that make sense? So I'm sitting there physically feeling depleted. I feel butterflies. My legs feel like jelly. My brain feels like mush. I'm thinking, what the fuck am I doing? This dude looks scary.
Yeah.
How do you accept, what does accepting the nerves look like?
I think I do a lot of like meditation, just, not much, not like anything crazy, but, just 10 minutes a day. And I think that just helps with just being able to accept thoughts just coming in. Like, like everyone's going to have moments where they're like, fuck, like, what am I doing here? Why am I doing this? But it's just like, all right, just notice that thought, and, you know what you've trained for. You're here to do a job, and you just got to,
So it's controlling your thoughts.
That's all it is. Like, it's just like coming in waves, and you just got to just accept it. Like, that's probably all I can put it down to, is probably just being mentally able to and ready to deal with those thoughts, because you're going to have them. Like, there's going to be doubts, there's going to be fears, and it's just things that I feel like if you can just face and just accept, like, I think you'll overcome it.
That's actually really good advice.
Control the thoughts, think about the worst case scenario, accept that, put that away.
Getting slept.
Worst getting slept. Getting
It's a
slept.
long way for me to fall, PK. Fucking hell.
It's crazy. Harry, mate, well done. Like, congratulations on the journey so far.
Yeah, your maturity, man, and it goes to show why you're being successful, man. You've obviously got a level head. You must have good parents, and it's that. I
discipline.
Think
it sounds like you've sacrificed a bit along the journey.
The hard work,
like
discipline.
24, like Benny said, he was up to different things when he was 24.
Yeah.
Man,
like a lot of people, the majority from 18 to 24.
Who isn't, man?
Correct. Yeah. 18 to 24, everyone's feeling the feels and getting out there and living life. Sounds like you've built a career in those years where people are usually
work hard now.
shit.
Is it Muhammad Ali or one of those guys? It's work hard now, live like a king later, man. And you know what? It's easy to say that, and everyone that says that is saying that in hindsight. Yeah. you're doing it, dude. You're one of the exceptions that's working hard now, and you'll live like a king later. So keep going, man.
Thanks,
mad respect. And I'm a fucking chance to come to Perth next week.
Yes,
Definitely,
it'll be a good weekend. It's gonna be It's gonna be.
Well, my brother lives over there, PK. So it'd be a good reason to
Get him down, get him a
down
ticket.
there. Yeah,
get
well,
amongst
I was actually amped for that other fight. It all makes sense now, dude. But and I was going to be rude to the social media person that gave me the answer because I didn't know what was going on. Because then I went to their website and it still had the picture, and I was showing my wife, and I'm going, I sent a screenshot to Lily. I go, they just said no, but there's a picture of him on the website, and I'm sure of it.
Maybe-
You know?
So it was
Maybe-
probably the 2000s email that
Yeah,
they'd sent
yeah,
going,
yeah.
no, Harry's not here.
I was still on the website, but maybe you should have been rude to them because they unfollowed me on Instagram when I signed to Eternal.
Oh, did they? Yeah, because and then I went onto your socials and there was like crickets on there as well. I was like, oh, it doesn't look like I'm going to no fights tonight. I don't know what's going on, but I ain't going to no fights. But yeah, anyway.
Awesome, Harry. No, well done, man.
No, thanks,
We'll
boys.
be watching closely.
As soon as you saw, when you sign for the UFC, man, we want to get you on. We want to hear that story, man. Whatever transpires from here to there, we're going to follow your journey, man. It's like epic, dude.
Thanks,
The
boys.
beginning.
Well done, Harry. Well done, mate. Awesome. Anyone that's going to get value out of that, please like, share, subscribe. See you at the top.
People want to be part of a winning team.
People can find a better version of themselves if they choose.
You just need to go start some shit.
Action is all that matters.
Be a man of your word.
I think I look back now and I'm like, whoa, that took some guts.
Be kind, be kind, be kind.
See you at the top. New episode every Wednesday.